Parashat Tetzaveh. We learn from today's Parashah that there is a pedagogical evolution towards holiness. We move from Parashat Mishpatim about the organization of the people, their structure for the proper functioning of the community. We continue with Parashat Terumah from last week, which dealt with offerings to God, remembering that gift offered to God was for what had been received by God's grace. Today's we have Tetzaveh, to order the command to say what to do if we are not attentive. We can get lost in details, and the body of humans can attribute to each element presented. This parasha deals with human structure of spiritual service. I would like to draw attention to the fact that in this parasha, the name of Moses is not mentioned. However, God addresses him as you in the second person. It is a direct conversation between the two close friends. This teaches us that the absence of Moses' name makes him much more present and underlines his value that is removed from the center. God is the center. We learn from the instruction God gives to Moses. Our link is a sacred service, the oil, the priestly garments, the daily sacrifice, the worship. But everything is centered on the figure of the priest who mediates between the people and God. Things are in function of the great act of being before God. The exterior influences the interior, the manner of clothing informs who we are and what we want to communicate. The priests, garments, and the adornments of sacred objects serve to communicate with God and should reflect who was in before our God. Bringing pure oil to light the menorah, which remain perpetually lit, teaches about the permanent divine presence. With his people, on the other hand, it symbolizes Israel as a light to the world. Therefore, its relationship with God must be permanent. We have the detail of the breastplate at the priest's basement with 12 stones representing the tributes or tribes of Israel. This emphasizes the seriousness of the priestly function. He is the service of the people. He is not justified by himself. He is the service of the people who will serve God through his function. The Talmud teaches that the garment of the Kohen Gadol atoned for a specific type of moral failing of the people. Therefore, the clothes were not decorative, they were a spiritual instrument of collective reparation. The breastplate repairs judicial error, the ephod repairs idolatry, the cloak repairs defamation of another, the tzitzit repairs arrogance. Therefore, the attention we must pay when reading the Word of God, which is written in human language, is to seek its meaning in depth, not to be content with the superficial understanding of human language, because God, by using human language to communicate with us, imbues it with deeper meaning that challenge us to seek it. To help us to learn from the living tradition of Israel, I present a short excerpt from the Midrash Rava on the Parashah, and we perceive a profound connection between the scriptural text established by the Master and you shall command the children of Israel, and they bring to you pure oil crushed by the light to raise an everlasting flame. It is written, the Lord called the name and lifted the olive tree, fair with godly fruit. Was the olive the only tree after which Israel were called? Have they then not also been called after every kind of handsome and noble tree? That they were compared to a vine and fig tree, we gather from the didst pluck off a vine out of Egypt, and promised so your fathers as the first reap in the fig tree at first season. That they are like the palm from this thy structure is like the palm tree. For this reason that is say, lift the olive tree fair with godly fruit. For just an oil gives for the light, so did the temple give light to the whole world, as it say. And nations shall walk at thy light. Our forefathers were accordingly called a lift the olive tree, because they give light to all who dare faith. It was on account that God said to Moses that they bring unto tree pure olive oil bidden for the light. We learn from the tradition of the sage of Israel that the description of ornaments, clothing utensils, detail in their richness and beauty, should converge in obedience to the word of God in order to serve Him. On the other hand, it teaches about Israel's particular place, showing its responsibility to God and to humanity to be a light to the world and like the oil in the menorah, and the temple to be illuminating in a permanent way.